Hello everyone, welcome to our first episode of Powering Your Software Development Project with Python. I'll quickly introduce myself. So I'm Mariam from VOLO's marketing team, and it's my pleasure to be your host today. I'd like to start with some background on how we decided to kick off this series. We all know that in the world of software development, there are countless technologies and programming languages to choose from. And when starting a new project, it's not uncommon to find yourself at a crossroad trying to decide which technology is the best fit for your goals. Yeah. And so throughout this webinar series, we'll be putting the spotlight on Python. Why Python, you ask? Well, what we're here to address. Python has gained immense popularity for its versatility, simplicity, powerful capabilities, you name it. And in these upcoming sessions, we'll explore how Python can be a smart choice for a wide range of projects. So firstly, let's see what we have for our today's episode discussion. We will discuss key applications and use cases for Python, the reasons behind its popularity, and we will debunk the common myths associated with this language. We will also take questions from our live audience, providing some insights and clarity on any queries you may have, dear audience. So, as you can see, we have two great speakers today, but before welcoming them, as usual, I have a little bit of housekeeping. So first, feel free to ask all your burning questions in the questions box below in the right corner. And this webinar is being recorded, so you will be able to access it right after the end of the event. Okay, now to get started, I want to welcome our speakers and I'll let them introduce themselves. Ruben, Tigran, hello.
Hello.
Ruben, let's first start with you. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Ruben, a Python team lead and software architect in VOLO. I have over 25 years of experience in software development. Also have some background in DevOps, and I'll be happy to share my experience with you tonight.
That's wonderful. Thank you for being here with us. And Tigran, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tigran, a senior Python developer at VOLO. I have experience working on various projects from different industries, more specifically fintech, crypto, and science. And I'm happy to be here and to participate in our today's discussion.
Thanks, Tigran. So to get us started in the right Python demystification mood, I suggest we start with some basic statistics about this programming language. So maybe we'll start with you, Ruben, and then Tigran can take this over.
Okay, sure. So here you can see a table. Okay, here is it. Which is the which reflects the popularity of miscellaneous programming languages, and also it shows the trends. And we can see that while last couple of years, Python has slowly but sustainability getting more and more popularity. Meanwhile, its nearest competitor, which is actually Java, loses some popularity. The next picture, which I would like to show you, is what they call a language popularity chart. Oh, thank you. Here is it. And here also we can see that during last couple of years, the popularity index of Python has essentially increased. Meanwhile, the nearest competitor, which is again Java, has lost some points. Again, these charts may be not too exact, or they can reflect not entire the information, but they are enough to give us some impression about overall trends.
That's right, Ruben, and it's not surprising since Python as a programming language is used across various domains. I suggest actually to mention some of the main use cases. The most common case is the use of Python for web and mobile applications backend. Popular frameworks like Django, Flask, and Fast API simplify backend development, making it faster and more efficient. Python is also a leading language for data analysis, data visualization, and statistical modeling. There are libraries like NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib, which are essential for this kind of solutions. Python has a rich machine learning and AI library ecosystem, including TensorFlow, PyTorch, Scikit-learn, Keras, etc. It's widely used for developing and training machine learning models. Python's clean and readable syntax makes it an excellent choice for automating repetitive tasks, system administration, and scripting. And there are tools for these as well, like PyTest and Selenium. And finally, again, Python simplicity and readability make it a preferred choice for teaching programming. It is widely used in schools and universities for introductory programming courses. And these are actually just the main use cases of Python. Sure, there are many more. So here comes a question, what makes it so popular? I think it will be fair for Ruben to elaborate on this, as he has over 2 decades of experience working with Python.
Yeah, and I don't mind at all, especially it would be even better if you, Ruben, could start with some background story of your journey with this technology. After all, we know that you have more than 25 years of experience in this sphere, and I wonder how many years of them are dedicated to Python.
Well, each time you mention these 25 years, I feel myself like a real dinosaur. And partially it's true because for IT, 25 years is almost an epoch. Nevertheless, I started using Python in 2003. I was doing an automation project, and we had a choice between Perl and Python. But finally, we chose Python because, unlike Perl, it was much more readable, it was easier to maintain, and also there were a lot of third-party modules created by Python community, which were implementing all the needed functionality. So we had nothing to create from the scratch. Later, Python took over our bash scripts or old Perl parts, and we got a working automation system. And although it was almost 20 years ago, but I exactly know that certain pieces of this code are still in use. Then there was a chance to create a proof of concept on a desktop application using Python, but the things went on so well that there was a decision not to implement it in C++, but try to productize and to deliver the product completely written in Python. Later we will be talking about PyQt and Qt library integration, and this was the first case when we used it, at least in our office. Later, we were using Python for web application backends, and this was the case when Python really shined because grace to different frameworks like Django, Fast API, SQL Alchemy, etc. It's almost perfect for rapid development of backends. And all of this makes me think about Python's popularity, and I can just name a couple of reasons why Python is popular, and I'm pretty sure Tigran will add even more. So the first, unofficial one, is that Python was created after famous comic show. That's why it's always fun to work with Python. Yeah, that was such a message by Guido van Rossum, the creator of Python. Okay, so the first thing which comes to my mind is simplicity. One of the most important characteristics of Python. High readability, understandability makes it very good as a first programming language. Also, it allows developers to concentrate more on what to do rather than on how to do. And here you can see on your screen the learning curve. And for Python, it's very efficient because unlike many other languages, the one who uses Python starts contributing fast enough. Okay, another interesting feature which provides Python, again, it's not unique, but for Python, it's especially important to mention, is a possibility to integrate, an integration with different frameworks, technologies, etc. Because, as I have already told you, Python is a simple language. That's why it was a choice of a lot of people who formed a very, very big community. And each of them contributed something on their behalf. And thus we got huge repositories of code for almost each case of the world. So for web applications, there are modules like Django, Flux, and Fast API. I mentioned them before. We were talking about my journey to Python. There are also modules for web frontend as well. For example, PyScript, which is intended to create WebAssembly code, and maybe someday it could even compete with JavaScript, but yet it's not in production state. It's in early alpha, so not production ready. For data analysis, there are many modules written in Python. Moreover, there is an entire Python distribution called Anaconda, also referred as Conda, which contains all the necessary things for data science in a bundle. And that is why Python is very popular for data science and machine learning tasks. Python has huge possibilities for visualization, and not just on a desktop, but also on a web. Here you see all of these fancy charts, graphs, bars. They are created by PyPlotly, which is actually a Python library which generates JavaScript code, which later runs in browsers. And this tool allows to create very interesting web visualization for the data. Almost every cloud has SDK for Python, and that is why DevOps also often prefers Python for their automation. For AWS, it's actually S3. For Azure, it's Azure SDK, and Google Cloud Platform also provides a Google Cloud SDK. I haven't dealt much with other clouds, but I'm pretty sure they also may have this type of frameworks. There is special tool, Swig. It's not actually a Python tool, it's more generic tool, but it allows to wrap C and C++ or Java code with Python. So we can use modules created in other languages in Python as well. And as a proof, we have an almost perfect wrapper for Qt visualization and application creation development framework, which is called PyQt. And this pretty night mode interface is completely created by PyQt. So yes, it runs a well-known Qt, a portable library for UI, but it's actually written in Python. And by the way, in upcoming episode, we will talk about a couple of projects when we have used Django Fast API, and we'll show how Python allows integration with different modules and technologies. But I'm really sorry, it looks like I'm getting more and more talkative because I'm always very excited when it comes to talking about Python. So perhaps I will have a little rest and let Tigran continue.
No problem. The next one, actually, in my mind, is the portability. So Python interpreters are developed for many platforms, Windows, Unix-alike, embedded systems, etc. Thus, carefully written codes can be run on different platforms without any code modifications. Later in the next episode, we will have a brief overview of testing frameworks, and we will show how we use different operating platforms in the same project. By the way, there are certain ongoing projects to bring Python into the mobile world as well. Projects like Beware allow to generate native code for Android and iOS. Here you can see some results, the result of the Beware generated code. And the next one I would like to mention is the possibility to generate code for different runtime environments. Python interpreter creates pre-compiled code, which is directly run by itself. Nevertheless, there are Jython and Python.NET, which create Java bytecode and .NET code respectively. Jython is another approach. It is a superset of Python language, which allows you to write Python code that calls back and forth from and to C or C++ code natively at any point. This allows us to achieve serious performance improvements. The next one I would like to mention is less boilerplate. Unlike compiled languages, Python doesn't require a build procedure. There's a lot of time is saved on building the executables. So you can see in the picture that we have a Hello World application written with 5 lines of code. And this is one of the reasons why Python is used extensively for rapid prototyping.
Well, just a little remark here, Tigran, if you allow. Just to be a total nerd, I would like to mention that not only Python allows to create one-line long services, and also there are perfect ideas for other languages which are taking care about creating all of this scaffold code or support files like make files, etc. So yes, Python is great, but it's not unique.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, guys, one more thing from my side. Okay, so Python's popularity has grown up only in recent years, yeah, as we mentioned in the beginning of this conversation. So one of the main reasons behind its popularity is its simplicity, like you said, Ruben. So I have some friends who wanted to start learning Python only because of this widespread opinion that Python is a simple language. So here's the question. Does simple mean easy? I think there is a need for clarity here, since it may seem like Python's rapidly growing popularity has brought with it a lot of other misconceptions as well. What do you think?
Well, there are a lot of misconceptions, like any relatively new idea, it can be misinterpreted or misunderstood. So I would like to talk about a couple of them. So I'd like to start with the one you have just mentioned. You know, actually, Python is easy. It's true, but just to some extent, because the language is simple, yes. And it is one of its main properties. But this does not mean that Python, like any other programming language, is easy. Languages like Python are more tolerant to minor glitches, but this has also its obscure effect, it's a side effect, because there are a lot of problems, for example, with typing, etc., which can be revealed in other languages on earlier stage, such as a compile stage or link stage. Python has no statical typing, it's a dynamically typed language, so misusage of variables, etc., will be revealed on later stages, even in production mode. That is why, although it's very easy to start contributing or to create something simple, but to deliver a production quality code, one may need really good skills and high self-discipline, and code needs testing in any case. So easy and simple are quite different things here. By the way, there is another misconception which just comes to my mind, is that Python is slow. Yes, Python is often blamed in being slow, but again, it's true only to some extent, because, you know, like any dynamically typed language, Python can work slower than statically typed languages, because type of each variable is determined on runtime. Moreover, Python is an interpreted language, so it works line by line, and it cannot compete with a compiled code which is native to CPUs. But also its slowness is somehow exaggerated, because yes, Python is not slow. Python is not as fast as many other languages, and for most of typical cases, Python's speed is enough to handle the tasks. And if something goes slowly, then everything can be handled by creating more powerful containers or scaling, should it be vertical scaling or horizontal scaling. But again, if our application is very sensitive to performance, perhaps other languages such as Rust or C++ could be a better choice. But I know that there are also some gossips, especially the problems with Python's multi-threading. So Tigran, I know that during your last project you were suffering and fighting this. So could you please bring more details on this?
Yeah, sure. There were some outbound tasks that were implemented using multi-threading library of Python. So it was a kind of spoiler. I will try to demystify it. So Python has built-in support for threading, which allows you to run multiple tasks concurrently within a single process. However, because of the concept of global interpreter lock, Python interpreter will only run one thread at a time, even if you have multiple threads in your program. Here come to help libraries like async.io. If you need to improve the performance of your Python application by using multiple cores, maybe you need to consider libraries like multiprocessing. It allows you to create multiple processes, each of which can run multiple threads, and this can greatly improve performance for CPU-bound applications. The next myth I just remembered, I would like to just demystify, is that Python requires a Python interpreter and cannot create an isolated executable. You can actually get a standalone executable in Python, which will not require a local interpreter. There are few different ways how you can achieve this, but the most common is to use the tool called PyInstaller. It is free and open source that can be used to convert Python script into standalone executable. And the next one, actually an interesting one, is that Python code is always readable and we cannot hide our secret know-how. Here you can see an obfuscated Python code. So the answer is that you can obfuscate Python code, and you can use built-in modules, or even you can use third-party special tools, which could guarantee that no one will understand the original code. There are also some theoretical misconceptions about Python and related to OOP that I would like Ruben you to demystify.
Yes, I think it's strange that everything which relates to theory somehow comes to me, but sure, I'll answer with pleasure. So there are two almost theoretical things coming to my mind. The one is that Python is not pure OOP, so it's not purely object-oriented language. Yes and no. Python is an OOP language, but it's actually a multi-paradigm language. It means that it implements different paradigms such as OOP, procedural programming, and functional programming. In my practice, many guys were complaining or were skeptical about Python's OOP, but none of them till today brought any reason how it impacted their work. Moreover, this multi-paradigm approach can be very handy when just working on scripts, because in other languages, to print hello world in some languages, you need to create an entire class. Yes, this can be a trivial class, but you still need to create a class which implements some method which calls print to screen a function. Meanwhile, in Python, you just type print and it prints. So for scripting, for simple automation, this not pure OOP is again, it's a rather handy thing. Another myth is that Python is not secure. Well, here is more a philosophy than engineering in this statement, because first of all, definition of language security is also quite dim. It may have different meanings, different contexts, etc. And like any programming language, Python is as secure as code written in it. So if you check your code to match security criteria, your code will be secure in any language. And the opposite is also true. If you forget about taking care about of security of your code, no matter what language you use, something will definitely go wrong. And one more reason, and one more thing, which again I would like to discuss. This one hasn't just came to my mind, but it was discussed often during latest several years. Is that Python is good for in-house development or prototyping only? Okay, you see all of these known multi-billion companies, they all are using Python in their production. And all of them acknowledge Python for the simplicity, maintainability, rapid development, and availability of hundreds of modules and libraries created by the very, very wide community of Python users. Moreover, some companies like Dropbox and Netflix, according to their reports, have switched to Python relatively recently from Java. And companies like Airbnb and Spotify use Python along with other technologies. But according to some publications and blogs, they are replacing step by step all old pieces by the new ones written in Python, and new development is done in Python. So maybe one day they will completely switch. This is the one of the reasons why Python can be considered as a potential game changer in entire programming area.
Yeah, and as we always say, yeah, Ruben, the more popular programming language becomes, the greater the chance for misconceptions to circulate. However, I believe you guys have just debunked some of the most commonly spread myths that we can hear. One more thing from my side, because we are about to jump into the Q&A section, and I want to remind our audience, if there are some questions, please feel free to ask them. And now, I think it's the right moment where our speakers, you guys, Ruben and Tigran, can give some honest recommendations to those of our viewers who are considering Python development for their business. So here's the question. Does Python have any limitations that would make it not suitable for a particular project? Ruben or Tigran, who wants to take this first?
Okay, well, let me answer first, because I just remembered a known saying about martial arts, and I would like to paraphrase it. If there was a universal and ideal programming language, it would be the only one, because it would take over everything else. So no language is ideal. Python is not an exception. So some projects may impose specific requirements which cannot be fulfilled by Python. I have mentioned that for sake of speed, for high frequency systems or real-time systems where performance is crucial, Python can be replaced by other languages such as Rust or C++ or C or whatever. Also, as far as I remember, Python is not that convenient for low-level programming. This realm is totally conquered by C, by assembler, by lower-level languages. Also, for mobile applications or web front-end, Python is not a good choice, because the necessary modules and libraries are immature yet. But they are being developed rapidly, and maybe one day the landscape will totally change.
Maybe, let's see. And Tigran, would you like to add some recommendations from your side?
Yeah, I would like to add a little bit different opinion of mine. So I think nothing is impossible if you have time. In one of my previous projects, we used Python to read real-time data from IoT devices and make some calculation based on them. So first, I guess you need to clarify the requirements and then decide which language can provide the best value of in every aspect. It can be time, performance, etc.
Yeah, I can disagree with you, Dick, because everything starts with project planning, features and functionalities clarifications, firstly. And believe me, if you have done this step already, in most cases, it will be possible to measure the success with that particular programming language. All you would need to do is just to have a consultation with the tech specialists, and they will be able to suggest the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's move to the Q&A section. And I'll open questions bar now. And we'll start with the first question. Okay. So, the first one. I'll start just a second. Okay. Okay. What are the statistics for Python as a backend development language in Armenia? And is VOLO planning an internship for Python backend development and not only that? Hi, Liana. I think Ruben will answer this question.
Well, as about statistics, I exactly know at least 9 companies which are widely using Python in their backend stuff. Also, I know a couple of organizations which are using Python for their data science and data analysis and machine learning stuff. So there is market for Python. As about internships, right now I cannot name any exact dates or schedules. Please visit our site often and you will get informed if something is planned.
I would like to just add that usage of Python is growing year by year. I can say, based on my experience, whenever I was starting, it was really not so many companies using Python, and now there are lots.
Okay, let's take the next one. Is it easy to switch to Python from other languages as a developer? Hi, Peter. I guess you are from the developers team. Let's see who will take your question.
Perhaps me, because I have switched to Python after almost 15 years of working with other languages, mainly with C++. Switching to Python is not difficult, especially if there is experience in other programming languages. Compared to other languages, one may learn enough to start and to contribute to company or to project, but I would just like to mention that it always takes a lot of time to become a real guru.
Okay. The next question comes from Sean. Can you bring examples of desktop application tools completely written in Python? Tigran, would you like to take it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can try to answer to these questions. There are a lot of desktop applications which use Python for scripting, and there is software completely written in Python, if I'm not mistaken. Dropbox client is one of them. Mercurial, a popular version control system, if I'm not mistaken again, has both console and UI parts developed in Python.
Okay. In the meantime, dear audience, I want to let you know that if you find there is a need for deeper clarifications, please feel free to ask in the chat room. And moving forward, the next question, it comes from Mateus. Okay, could you please highlight which technologies to use or learn for Python software engineers?
Well, who answers?
I can start, Ruben.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, I think since we have already mentioned, it depends what you are going to do with Python. So if you want to start web and mobile application backend development, perhaps you need to start with Django, Flask, or Fast API. If you want to do some data analysis, data visualization, you can make some research on NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, etc.
Okay.
The guy always addicted to theory. I would like to mention also not to forget to refresh in mind or to learn the basic algorithms such as sorting, three different data structures, etc. So fundamentals of programming are never redundant and they are always in use.
Okay, now the next question comes from Peter. What is the difference between Python and active Python, and which one to choose?
Perhaps I will answer because I've asked this question many times in different circumstances. So Python is programming language. Active Python is a Python distribution created and maintained by Active State Corporation. This distribution has a lot of modules included. Also, it has all its own a package management system, PyPM, by the way, very handy and very convenient thing. So if you are just going to run something written in Python, then Active State as a runtime engine is a good choice. But if you are working on software development, then you can use just Python.
Okay. Okay, and the other question, what are the benefits of switching to Python if we have a running project in another language? The challenging one.
Yeah, let me try to handle this one.
Okay.
Actually, it depends on many circumstances. If you have running project and you are satisfied with how it works, how it is maintained, how it is being growing, how it will be growing in the future, then perhaps you don't need to switch at all. You know, they say if it works, don't touch. But when you have concerns about current performance, maintainability, scalability of the project, then you might consider technology switch, and Python can be a good choice for that. Each case actually, but still needs to be detailed investigated.
Okay. Two more questions. A question from Khachatur. What do you think how Python will deal with GIL? Global Interpreter Language, yeah?
Global Interpreter Log.
Okay.
Well, so let me start, Tigran, and you will add, because today in the afternoon I was reading a new article about the latest Python release, 3.12, and overall tendency is that step by step they are planning to refuse from using this concept and to get rid of GIL. But when it happened, even Python community and their board do not know. Maybe in latest 5 or 6 years, this technology will be dropped as an outdated thing. Tigran, what do you think about it?
Actually, the research I've made, it's kind of not a bug, it's kind of feature. You don't need to get rid of it because there are some issues that are being solved with global interpreter log. And there are even some libraries, for example, async.io, which let you to optimize your trading solutions. To get the highest value that you can achieve. So perhaps there were some tries to get rid of global interpreter log, but still it exists, and maybe somehow, as Ruben said, in some time we will have Python without it.
At least this is opinion of Guido van Rossum himself. He finally admitted that one day they could get rid of it and they will do something in that direction.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last one, how to get a job offer as a beginner in web using Python?
Maybe I will start, Ruben. And so, as I told, my students, I can share some of my thoughts about how to start working in web development sphere. So at first, since there are a lot of IT schools which prepare students, new graduates, which know Python and can work with it, but you need to differ from others. At first, you need to work on your projects. You need to have a portfolio with the projects in your GitHub account. You need to have a LinkedIn account for sure, prepared for interviews. You need to work on your CV. You need to prepare yourself for first interview, and you need to never give up. So again, maybe I will repeat my thought. If you have time, nothing is impossible. So if you just failed the first interview, it means that you will have another chance, a little bit more time to prepare yourself for the next one. Thank you.
Great speech, Tigran. So I think if I am asked on what to do to get a Python developer job, I will redirect those guys to you.
Okay, and guys, we have one more question. So Al is saying, I want to build a lead generator with custom site, with mobile app for construction contractors that allows clients and service people to use and interact. Should Python be used?
Well, it's very, I would prefer to remain tentative because I do not know all the all the requirements, all the conditions, all the circumstances. But in general, for this type of projects, when we do not have hundreds, thousands of users, when it's a typical platform, typical architect, Python, especially with frameworks like Django or Fast API, are usable, are handy, and they can help. But again, it's a very preliminary and premature opinion because I do not have all the details, and we have already mentioned that to give a proper recommendation, we need to discuss everything. Tigran, do you have to add something?
No, actually, you already said what I wanted to say.
Yeah, so in general, it is possible to develop it with Python without going very deep into the question.
If guys have developed Facebook in Python, then everything else can be developed in Python because it's very, very sophisticated project. Facebook server, etc. But again, everything depends on very careful analysis. So, either consultings, etc. Then,
yeah, sure. Guys, we have one more question. Could you explain the differences between poetry and PIP3? Which one choose for a big project and versioning it?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. Could you explain the differences between poetry and PIP3? Which one to choose for a big project and versioning it?
So, Tigran?
Yeah, actually, maybe at first we need to understand I don't know the requirements of the project, how big it will be, and what we want to achieve with using PIP3 or poetry, and the next later make the decision which one to choose, which one is proper one for us.
Yeah, maybe the size of the project is not the definitor of choosing which one. Yeah.
Actually, not only the size. It really depends on many circumstances. You can say that if the project is very big, you need to use definitely PIP3 or poetry.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, I just can add my couple of cents. and tell that PEEP is used more often in big projects, as far as I remember.
Okay, so you go for PEEP 3.
At least this is the starting point, but again, in software development, it's a common thing when someone tells something in a hurry, and then something goes wrong. So again, never hurry, always think twice, and this is the only way to the correct response.
Maybe we should have another webinar for demystifying and clarifying the differences of PEEP3, poetry, and this kind of tools.
Guys, we have 2 more questions. I want to take this one. How much would be to create a site like Netflix or Facebook? I think this is a very hard question.
Well, there is a very dim question, because how much what, how much time, how much money, how much resources.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
We could ask Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. We can ask them based on their experience. And one more question: what's the minimal requirements from junior programmer? Would you like
Tigran, this is your courtesy. You are perfect with training juniors, so please go ahead.
So, for my point of view, I think nothing is enough again. So you need to, again, work on your skills. But for sure, if you have started with Django, you need to investigate in detail to understand how it works, what is, for example, ORM, how it interacts with databases, what kind of databases are there, then switch to SQL sphere, try to understand some more basic queries, and later then decide to start investigation of another framework, for example, Flask or Fast API. And after that, maybe if you are done with Django, you can have another look of Django REST framework to see how it is working, what is the difference between them, and prepare yourself for the interview.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Ruben, do you want to add anything? Or everything?
Well, Tigran has told everything in details. I just would like to mention again, as a total nerd, that backend engineering, because as far as I have understood, this guy was going to become a junior backend engineer, because it was no data science mentioned there or something like that. Usually, backend engineering requires a lot of knowledge in related fields, such as database, the principles of container and virtualization, network basics, etc., etc. So it would be fine if the developers also, sure, they may not be gurus, but at least they have some impression about how it works, because they will be using it every day.
Okay. Okay. We are done with the questions part, and I think this much for today. First of all, I want to thank you, dear audience, for your time. I hope this conversation was insightful for you. And additionally, I want to mention that in the upcoming episodes, we will have a more detailed discussion, more technical and real-life scenarios from our own experience. We will showcase projects that succeeded in rapid prototyping and migration from other languages to Python, which is, I think, is very, very interesting topic. And thank you very much, Ruben and Tigran, for your time, for your insights. I hope we will have more chances to meet again in the next episodes. So please stay tuned, dear audience. We'll let you know the date for the next episode. And thank you all for your time today.
Thank you for the attention.
Goodbye. Thank you for your time.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.